Welcome to Health Coach for Women, a podcast where we explore alternative and holistic solutions to better health and wellness through intentional living. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Happy holidays to you all. Wishing you all the best during this holiday season. Thank you so much again for joining me on another episode of Health Coach for Women. This is a podcast where we explore alternative and holistic solutions for better health and wellness. Today's topic, bio-individuality in nutrition. That is today's topic. So one man's food is another man's poison. So there is no one size fit all when it comes to diets for individuals. All right. We are going to talk about that, and you'll just be seeing the listening to an audio recording for those of you who are on YouTube, because I'm in the process of packing up and moving. All right. We'll dive right in to bio-individuality. So what is bio-individuality when it comes to nutrition? So it is the concept that each person has unique nutritional needs based on their factors, right? Like genetics, lifestyle, environment, metabolism, as well as personal health goals. And so this approach, there is no one size fit all. Right? There's no one size fit all diet or wellness plan, because what works for one person may not work for another. All right. And so there are several principles in bio-individuality. Right. There are four to be exact. You have genetic makeup, lifestyle environment, health conditions, of course, and cultural and emotional factors. So we're going to go into that as well as others that I already mentioned, right? So let's get into that. So we know that genetics play a foundational role in bio-individuality, right? By influencing how your bodies process foods, absorb nutrients, and respond to certain dietary patterns, all right? So let's talk about metabolism and macronutrient needs. Some people metabolize carbohydrates efficiently, right? While others might gain weight or experience blood sugar issues on a high carb diet. Genetic variations also affect how well the body utilizes proteins or fats, right? And so a perfect example, I had some coworkers one time we were working on doing a diet, right? And they were saying, okay, no meat, right? But no meat, only just vegetables, fruits, etc., right? But one person had a problem with doing absolutely no protein, right? Well, I should say no meat, right? Because you can get protein in other ways, right? In other things such as flax seeds, chia seeds, beans, right? And so forth. So you can't have a one size fit all, right? You can't do a one size fit all. Now, everybody's metabolism is different, right? And I also want to talk about nutrient deficiencies, right? Because some people have genetic predispositions that can lead to conditions like vitamin D deficiency, like myself, right? Like myself, I've talked about that before, being vitamin D deficient, or impaired methylation, or impacting the body's ability to process folate or B12, right? And you also have people who have food sensitivities and allergies, conditions such as being lactose intolerant or gluten sensitivity, which we know gluten also makes us gain weight, right? So, for example, a person with a genetic variant or something like that can affect the gene and may need some other methylated vitamins to support their metabolic process, because everyone is unique, right? Everyone is unique and different. So genetic makeup, of course, plays a part. So if maybe one person can possibly do a low carb, high protein, and someone else may not be able to do so, just based on their own genetic makeup and metabolism. Okay, so moving on now to lifestyle and environment. So how does our environment play a role on our bio-individuality, right, when it comes to nutrition? Of course, we know that your daily habits, physical surroundings, and even your social circumstances can greatly influence your nutritional needs and preferences, right? So what about activity levels, right? A highly active person, right, would need, of course, more calories, protein, as well as hydration than someone who basically just lives a sedentary lifestyle. Now, stress and cortisol. Now, you've heard me talk about this before, that chronic stress can deplete magnesium and increase cravings for sugar or caffeine. And stress also affects the digestion process, right? And nutrient absorption. So this is why it's important that we need to manage our stress. We need to manage our stress. What about environmental influences such as pollutants, right? Local food availability, right? You may have heard me talk about living in places where there is a food desert, right? So what is a food desert? A food desert, now this usually a food desert, first let me tell you what it is. A food desert is a place where there is the inability to access organic, healthy, quality food, right? And you see this in lower income neighborhoods, right? You see this in lower income neighborhoods. Now, climate can also lead to a preference for warmth, all right, and lead to for calorie dense foods. So climate plays a part, right? Certain fruits you're not able to get, all right, or you won't get the best quality of those fruits because maybe like what is it? What's like maybe pineapples? I don't know. I'm just coming up with something random, right? Maybe there's something grown in certain climates, and now for transport and all the whole process that it has to go through, by the time it gets to us, it's no good, right? If you're buying something, of course, that's natural and organic, right? So environmental influence plays a role as well, all right? So what about health conditions? Of course, health conditions we know is a factor, right? Predispositions, right, of health issues can affect a person's health. So we know chronic diseases such as diabetes, that it plays a role with blood sugar, right? Lowering your blood sugar, managing those high level blood sugars, right? By what's going to work for someone with diabetes, eating low glycemic index foods, right? Glycemic diets. Autoimmune diseases may also benefit from an anti-inflammatory foods. Remember last week I talked about anti-inflammation, right? And things that we could do to fight inflammation. Digestive health is another one, right? Gut-related issues such as irritable bowel syndromes, known as the short version IBS, or leaky gut may require, of course, the focus on easily digestible foods, fermented items such as sauerkraut, right? Or elimination diets. What is the elimination diet? All right, I talked about that before as well. Getting rid of the foods and seeing how we feel when we take away certain foods, how it impact our diet. How do we feel, right? If you're normally someone who eats bagels and a cup of coffee in the morning, try now taking away that bagel and substituting it maybe for just maybe one slice of toast, right? One slice of toast and maybe some green tea, right? And see how the body is how do you feel, right? How do you feel? Do you have more energy? Do you feel more tired? Are you getting headaches? I don't know, right? So everyone will experience something different when you do the elimination diet, right? We know that bagels can make you feel heavy. Maybe you won't feel as heavy. Maybe you won't feel as bloated once you remove the bagel, right? Hormonal imbalance, conditions like hypothyroidism or PCOS, right? These things demand specific nutrients such as iodine, selenium, right? Or some type of balanced macronutrient type of ratio. So someone with celiac disease have to avoid gluten entirely, while someone else with arthritis may need an anti-inflammatory diet, right? So now I want to move on to cultural and emotional factors. Now, food choices are deeply personal for every individual, right? And it's influenced by cultural identity, traditions, and emotional connections, right? Some cultural foods, traditional diets such as the Mediterranean, Ayurvedic, or East Asian reflect cultural wisdom tailored to their region's environment and history. Now, as you know, from my family, even though I was born in the U.S., my family is from the Caribbean. I grew up on certain foods, right? Caribbean island foods. So I'm not, although I'm very familiar with the Southern American type of foods, but that's not what I grew up on. I didn't grow up on, the different foods that they have here as collard greens, mac and cheese, although my mom made that, right? But everything is a little different, right? I grew up basically on the rice and peas, curry, stew chicken, stuff like that, right? That's what I grew up on. So all of this plays a part, right? Everyone's background will be different, right? And what I noticed too is that some of the Latin American from South America, right? Spain took over Trinidad at one time. So I noticed that the foods are similar. The arroz con pollo, rice and peas with chicken, right? Rice with chicken and rice, as they say. There's some similarities in the dishes, and other cultures and can influence other cultures when they come and they invade another country, and they share certain foods. They bring their culture over, and I digress for a moment, but I'm just talking about culture because it makes me think about a lot of the different things, and I love culture and I love history. So sometimes I will digress. So my apologies on that. So, all right, let me get back to it. I don't want to go get long-winded on that, on cultural foods and all of that stuff. But emotional eating, right? People often turn to comfort foods such as during times of stress, sadness, or even celebrations, which can either nourish or harm them depending on their choices, right? Social influences is another one. Dietary habits are shaped by family traditions, religious practices, or even peer pressure, right?
If you are struggling with health issues like chronic pain, being held back by past traumas, or feeling overwhelmed and hopeless, please know there is hope. There is help. Transcendence, a woman's guide to healing and self-love for better health, happiness, and abundance, is a blueprint to help you get your life back and reclaim your health. Within its pages, you'll learn how to elevate your existence by shifting your mindset toward the positive, focusing your energy on what's really important, using gratitude to feel deep appreciation, changing your gene expression through epigenetics, building resilience, and living in a state of flow, feeling love overflow within. Go beyond an ordinary life. Transcend. Buy it now.
So, a person with a strong cultural connection to vegetarianism may need sources of proteins, right? Like lentils, tofu, or to meet those nutritional needs. Well, I want to talk about now Lifestage, right? And there's other things that I'm going to get into that. Lifestage is basically nutritional needs evolve, right, at different phases of life, reflecting on the changes in the metabolism and hormones and physical demands. Because as we get older, the things that we could eat when we were younger, we may not even eat it anymore. We're not able to eat it anymore, right? And the hormonal changes, right, that can affect us as well. So as a child growing up and during adolescence, growing up, children may require high levels of calcium, protein, and essential fatty acids to support development. Pregnancy and breastfeeding, right? Nutritional needs with that, what we always would get from the doctor to increase our folate, right? Iron, omega-3 fatty acids, and protein to support fetal development. That is important, right? So as far as aging and elderly, older adults may need more calcium, right? Vitamin D and fiber while reducing calorie intake due to the decreased metabolism. Okay, so these things play a factor. So there's some interconnected nature of these principles, right? They often overlap, right? Creating complex, but then again, personalized blueprint for that optimal nutrition that we are looking for. So let's just say a young woman with a genetic predisposition of being iron deficient. I was anemic when also living in maybe a high stress urban environment and practicing vegetarianism for whatever reason, cultural reasons, right? This person will have highly specific dietary needs, right? And so being able to recognize and honoring these factors is the essence of bio-individuality. All right. Now, how is it applied? All right, through functional medicine, right, where practitioners are able to assess the individual's unique makeup to design a personalized dietary plan, or through health coaching, right? Because you've heard of integrative medicine, where there's a combination of holistic practices or functional medicine, in addition to the traditional medicine that we know today. So health coaches use bio-individuality to guide clients, right, to making sustainable dietary changes that fit their specific needs and lifestyle. So that's where someone like myself, right, and someone who has who's had nutrition courses, who's had NLP classes, right, who's taken courses, can help you, right, on that journey, right? There's also self-experimentation that you can do yourself, right? And this is where you would, individuals, right, can listen to their bodies. Remember, I talk about tuning in, right? Tuning in and listening to your body, right, as your body speaks to you. And track how they feel. Track how you feel after you eat certain foods, right? Keep that food journal. Keep that food journal when you can do the elimination diet, right? Get to know your body. Get to know what foods make you feel sluggish, what foods give you more energy, right? What environments makes you feel, and how it impacts your mood, the seasons, right? During the time of the season change, if you live in or 4 seasons like myself, maybe during the fall or even in the winter months, you start to feel those winter blues, right? So maybe you experience seasonal depression. We have to tune in and we have to see what is going to work uniquely for me, right? What is going to work for me? Am I tuning into my body and paying attention and noticing when I eat certain foods that it makes me feel bloated, that it makes me have more gas or whatever, right? Or it tends to make me go to the bathroom more than usual, right? We need to pay attention. So by using and applying the bio-individuality in nutrition. You are able to take notice. You're able to see what works for you rather than following trends, right? So we don't want to follow trends because what works for one person may not work for another. Again, someone else can do very well on a low carb, high protein diet, and someone else may not. So it all depends on that individual. Someone with diabetes may need to follow that glycemic index, right? Eating the low glycemic index foods, right? Getting the chart, seeing what you need to do to manage your blood sugar, managing the A1C. You want to manage your A1C. You want to do the things that's going to keep your glucose levels intact, right? So there's different things, again, for different people. So this is what you need to do. Stop following trends and discover the diet that works right for you. Okay? Maybe you can start out doing an elimination diet, right? So of course, after the holidays, right? Because we know families may be cooking all this good food, right? that you may want to resist, that you can't resist, rather. And so you just say, okay, well, I'm going to wait till after the holidays. Okay, give yourself some grace, right? And don't judge yourself too hardly. And don't let anyone judge you either, right? So start with doing the elimination diet. See how you feel. Keep a food journal, right? Keep a food journal. If you're looking to lose weight, you know that there are things you're going to have to cut back on. Okay. Do you have any health conditions? What foods that you know that you must consume, right? What foods do you know that you have to cut back on and eliminate from your diet or reduce, right? So this is where you're a nutritionist, your health coach, your naturopath, your alternative medicine doctor, your integrative doctor, whoever, or maybe you just deal with your regular doctor, all right, or a regular nutritionist. And I'm not saying it regular in that type of sense, right? I'm saying your nutritionists who follow certain patterns, and if they know your history, then they will know what can individually help you, right? But no one knows you better than you know you and your diet and what works for you. Okay. So I think I covered everything. I just wanted to cover this episode, and it's probably short, but that's okay. You have got the gist of it. Remember, there are things that impact your health, right? And we know that food plays a significant role when it comes to health, right? Certain foods. Again, bio-individuality in nutrition, we have those things such as genetics, right? Lifestyle, environment, your metabolism, right? We have all of these different things. Are you living in a food desert? How can we get access to better, healthy food? Okay. Are you willing to go further out to get healthy food? Are you willing to really make an impact for yourself and your community to do things to get better food? What about having a food garden? What about, you have to, I say this, you have to make it where health is a priority, right? It has to be a priority for you. And it is the greatest wealth, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you are sitting in a wheelchair and you're unable to do for yourself, you're unable to do things for yourself, there is no beauty and there is no joy in that. That's my personal opinion. Okay. And like I said before, I've being in healthcare, seeing people on ventilators, where their mind is totally gone, or they're absolutely totally with it, but they're unable to speak, they're unable to do anything, right? Due to whatever, certain conditions and different factors. And I see it more and more, younger individuals, okay? We have got to put health as a priority. We may want material things, right? We may want material things, and there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe we need to earn a little extra money, right? Nothing wrong with that either, but we have to prioritize. And health should be at the top of the list. It should be at the top of the list. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Again, be safe out there. Watch your surroundings, right? Watch your surroundings. Pay attention. Make sure that you have your car doors locked. You're not putting gifts and all of that stuff visible where people are tempted to want to break in your car. Okay. Be safe out there. Be alert. Okay. Put your health first. Remember, you're no good to anyone else if you cannot take care of yourself. All right. And on that note, I'm going to close out. Stay healthy, stay well. Bye for now.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Health Coach for Women with Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.